I would believe that the tea trees were here before we were. Being with tea and ceremony gives us the opportunity to do that, to just sit and be with something so ordinary in a way that reminds us of how extraordinary life is. It does happen to be one of those plants in nature that very much has a symbiotic, harmonious dance with the human species.
So we just went through a tea ceremony. You conducted a tea ceremony for us. Let's start with the basics.
It's a practice of presence and preparation to be in connectivity with all of the elements and allow them to unfold and adapt to each unfolding moment. On a linear, logistical level, we were drinking a 2019 wild varietal purple red tea.
How old is tea? And how long have we been consuming it for?
It's old. I mean, I would believe that the tea trees were here before we were, with the other creatures and beings and plant life and nature, holding space and cultivating time in the earth. It's like one of those plants in nature that really desires to be part of the human experience. And we can also question, like, how much are we domesticating it or is it domesticating us? So it does happen to be one of those plants in nature that very much has a symbiotic, harmonious dance with the human species. I've personally visited 1,000-year-old tea forests and gardens, and I think the oldest tea tree I've been in the presence of was about 2,800 years old. And that's, based on humans measuring age. So who knows what that really means in the time span of nature. But it's very humbling to be around beings that have been on this earth for so much change and shift and stayed rooted and planted and continue to thrive and flourish. If you think about how much perseverance something has had to go through to survive that amount of time, and when we take that in as medicine, there's so much to receive.
You talk about tea being a medicine. It's a plant medicine. It's probably the one that's been used the most throughout our history. So how can it be a medicine for us?
My teacher wrote he wrote a beautiful book called Tea Medicine, and he defines, what does it mean to be healthy, in a sense, and so we can take that into also this definition of what medicine is. And we can say that medicine is anything, and he'll say literally anything that puts us back into alignment with the harmony of ourselves in time and space with the whole of the universe. So in that sense, when we're approaching something in this intimate way with, an opportunity to be in more awareness and consciousness with intention, then a walk in the park can be medicine, a bowl of tea can be medicine, a hike in nature can be medicine, a moment to just sit and be quiet and still is medicine. Looking into the eyes of a beautiful, loving soul in front of you is definitely medicine, right? So it's that intimacy of our experience with the external universe that puts us back into the harmony of the Tao and the stream. Tea likes to root down and find its home. I find that to be really interesting energetically, because one of the most common things that happens, I would say, in ceremony with this plant is there is this returning to the self, returning to this place inside of the self that a lot of people commonly experience. And that feels like a returning to home, right? Because if we really unfold what home is, it's not this box of walls that we create around us. It's not one location. It's a space inside of ourselves that we're all yearning to return to.
Is it any coincidence that tea is the most popular drink in the world next to water?
No. I think she definitely has a message, and it's like Mother Nature's gift of nurturement and love to us, to remind us of that connectivity, that we are part of all things, that we are part of the seasons, we are the leaves, the branches, the roots, the bark, our body, our cells, the tea flowing down into our bellies, the look in each other's eyes as we connect over a bowl of tea. And none of that is separate. It's all interdependent, creating this moment. If we go into this understanding of the ordinary in such a way, and we really allow ourselves to take in the ordinary, then it becomes extraordinary. Like the more that you stare at the center of a rose, it's like this ordinary thing, oh, this blossom in nature, and we take it for granted. And then you go deeper and deeper into just being with it. And if you take a moment to absorb that, all of a sudden it becomes this extraordinary thing. You're like, wow, the smell, the sacred geometry, the unfolding, the life, the death, the cycles, it's all there. The clouds and the rain and the soil, you know, it's all in that moment. And that extraordinary experience is happening all around us all the time, and we forget to just take a moment to stop and sit and be present with it. And so being with tea and ceremony gives us the opportunity to do that, to just sit and be with something so ordinary in a way that reminds us of how extraordinary life is. To continuously do that with a fresh mind and a fresh state of being every time, that every time you pour the tea, it's the first time you pour the tea. Every time you chop the wood, it's the first time that you chop the wood. Every time that you carry the water, it's the first time that you carry the water. Even if it's happened a million times before, it's never gonna happen like that moment that it's happening. So that is, I mean, I guess if you want to call it enlightenment, that is that in the space of that, just being completely present with what is, fresh every moment, like it's the first time, you know, that's a enlightened state of presence, I would say. But to begin, it's really just making space to really sit and listen and align ourselves with this kind of simple, ungrasping integrity.